Shalom, Israel. Shalom, shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another Monday Night Fire, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Mashiach, Malaki Bashai, double honor to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying. They're fasting. They're studying. They're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, zealous, diligent, and on fire, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to everybody tuning in live through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashmi Awashai, Akka Rectitude, Don Israel Tamid 7, Dinah 144K, Yashab Rael, Yeshayahu, Hoshaya, Nigel Blends, Kazak, Gedalia, Yafei Israel, and again, everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. Countdown to Pentecost, are you the wheat or the tares? Right? The Most High is severing the righteous from amongst the wicked now. You have a lot of sifting going on. You got brothers falling out. You got sisters falling out. You got families falling out. You got congregations falling out. There's a lot of spirits on the earth currently in these last days. And as we approach the second coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai, the Most High is setting up who's the elect and who's not the elect, right? And we're all striving to be that chosen seed. But you're going to be able to see through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai Shai clear indicators and signs of those who are set up for salvation and those who are set up for destruction, right? For those that may not know about the wheat and the tares, let's kind of touch on that. I'm not going to read this entire thing, right? We may or we may not, but this is Matthew 13 and 18. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. It's like I want it's like it. This Matthew 13, and I'm gonna read 36. It reads, then Yahweh Shai sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. So Yahweh Shai gave a parable of the wheat and the tares, right? So when you look up how wheat and tares, let's pull this up, how they look physically, they look identical, right? They look identical, and really you can't discern at times between what's the wheat and what's the tare, right? Now, if you're experienced and you have years of husbandry or years of gardening, horticultural experience, then yeah, your eye will be keen to be able to notice the slight differences between the wheat and the tares, right? But again, Yahweh Shai is given a parable about wheat and tares. The tares represent the righteous. It's like the wheat represents the righteous, and the tares represent the wicked. And this represents those in these last days. It's like it represents those of Israel in these last days ultimately, right? So let's go to Matthew, the 13th chapter, right? So the apostles asked about the parable of the tares, right? This Matthew chapter 13 and verse 24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. And we'll break this down. In fact, Yahweh Shai actually breaks down this parable and what the field is, what the seed is, what the tares are, what the wheat represents, right? But we'll just break it down as well through the spirit, right? So the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field, right? The good seed represent the children of the kingdom. The man is Yahweh Shai, who planted the children of the kingdom in the earth. The children of the kingdom are the elect. The elect represent the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, with the elite class of the 1/3 being 144,000, right? The Most High is going to bring a remnant out, right? He's not taking all of the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American men, women, and children. Right? This is not 4,000 plus years ago where everybody just gets salvation. Everybody, like in the days of Moses, goes through the Red Sea. You had a lot of demons that went through the Red Sea, man. Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. You had scoffers. You had murmurers. You had rebellion. People that committed rebellion, wickedness, man. You had heathen that came out. So this salvation is different because only a remnant of the Israelites are going to make it out. Right? The Most High also said, before I get this, let me get Jeremiah 3. Right? Quick precept. This is Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 14. Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and will bring you to Zion. So the Most High is not taking everybody, right? This means he's taking a small remnant, one of a city and two of a family, and they're going to receive salvation. Everybody in your family might not make it. There are certain people in this truth where they're literally the only one in the truth in their entire family, and they have large, vast families. Some brothers have small families. Some sisters have small families. Some brothers may be in a small city or semi-large city, and you're probably the only one in the truth, man. Right? So the Most High, he has handpicked and predestined particular individuals to receive salvation before the foundation of the world. Right? And let me get that in Isaiah 10. That's who the wheat is and the good seed in that parable. Right? Isaiah chapter 10 and 22. For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return, the consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness. And we are as the sand of the sea. You can't number how many northern kingdom and southern kingdom there are on the islands, the Caribbean, the so-called United States, around the world, Europe, etc. Right? And we're scattered amongst all these other nations, but everybody's not going to make it. Right? Everybody's not going to make it. But the elect, they are planted in the earth. Right? So let's read on Matthew 13 and 25. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. Right? So there's a period where the Lord uses Satan to work on the mind of people to be also amongst the elect. So the elect on the earth, and then you have tares on the earth, right? Which are the wicked, the ungodly. They may be on the earth, they may be amongst the wheat, but they don't have the spirit of the wheat, right? We're going to touch on the different spirits of the tares and the wheat. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So in process of time, you'll see the wheat and the tares, right? You'll see brothers that know this truth, keeping the commandments. Then you'll see, you even got Israelites who know that they're Israelites, and they're not going to make it. Those are tares as well. If you're an OT only Israelite, then you would be a tare. If you're an Israelite that believes that you can commit adultery or you can commit fornication, then you would be a tare. If you're an Israelite and you only believe in the New Testament but not the Old Testament, you're not going to make it, man. Or vice versa, you believe in the Old Testament but you don't believe in the New Testament, then you would be a tare. If you're an Israelite who says you don't have to keep the laws, but you got fringes on or a mitri, you got a kufi on your head, you would be a tare. So in the last days, you have people that physically may show the traits of being righteous, may show the traits of being godly, even amongst the so-called Christian world, man. You got people that pray. They say they got the Holy Spirit. They give alms. They have soup kitchens. They give to the poor. There's a lot of so-called righteousness in the earth, right? Then you have true righteousness, which is believing in Yahweh Shai and keeping the commandments, right? You're going to have those that are the tares and those that are the elect, which are the wheat. Now, there's a precept. The Most High said that there are men that have a form of godliness, but from such turn away, right? That's let me get this precept. This is I believe I'm gonna have to get that one. Here it is, like in 2 Timothy 3 and 5. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. So you'll have people in the last days that have a form of godliness. It may seem as though the Most High is working with them. It may seem as though that they're doing the traits of the elect or being chosen, but really there's hypocrisy behind closed doors, secret sins, envy, grudges, folly, all types of demons that are being worked on behind closed doors. But outwardly, they have a form of godliness, but they deny the power thereof because they don't apply the spirit of Yahweh Shah. The Most High said, leave those individuals alone. So all these spirits represent the tares right here, right? So let's read on in Mark 13 and 37. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou not sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, an enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? Right? So the enemy that did this is the devil, Satan. Right? Let me get brothers back here. Oh, see that? Hold on, I didn't even see brothers back there.
Shalom. Shalom. Shalom, kings.
Shalom. Shalom. All praise to the Most High. Khan. So let me go back to this. Mark 13 and 38. He said unto them, an enemy had done this. The servant said unto him, without then that we go and gather them up. But he said, nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow into the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So you're going to have people around you that you may want to say this person is going to make it, this person's not going to make it. You're the 2/3, you're the 1/3, you're the 144,000, you're not the 144,000. You're not going to be able to discern. That's why it says, shall we, it's like it, without then that we go and gather them up. Because you might go and gather up somebody you think that's not going to make it, but then you find out that Yahweh Basham Shai has set them up. So man can't really determine, it's outside of our hands who's the chosen. Nobody has a spirit so high where they can determine, oh, that brother's number 25 out of the 144,000. Okay, that brother, he's number 143,993. There's no man that can do that and just start moving the spirits around. That's up for Yahweh Basham Shai to do that, man. Right? And that's what the Most High said, nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up the wheat with them. You'll make a judgment where you end up offending a little one. You'll make a judgment when you cast out somebody that the Most High wants, and you end up rooting up those who the Most High chose. Because man is not Yahweh Basham Shai. Man can't look at the heart. Man can't look at the reins. Man's level can only go so far, But the Most High said, the point is, let both grow into the harvest. So you're going to have those spirits grow in the earth. People are going to grow in wickedness. People are going to grow in righteousness. And the angels are going to be the ones given the green light to take the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them and to destroy them. And they're going to get the green light to gather the wheat into the barn, which is the chariot. Right? So you're going to have spirits of the wheat and the tares in the earth. Now, although man might not know exactly who's a tare and who's the wheat, there are signs and indicators that a brother's moving in the spirit of the wheat, and there are signs that a brother's moving in the spirit of a tare, right? And I want to get one more real quick. I want to get this in Sirach 27, right? Just to prove that real quick. This is Ecclesiasticus 27 and verse number 6. And it's important because Pentecost is coming up. It's the countdown. And Pentecost is about a harvest as well, right? It's about the wheat harvest. It's about counting down the weeks after the feast of, after the first fruits, So that was a major harvest for the children of Israel during that time, right? So, and the Most High is bringing another harvest on the earth, which is his second coming by the return of his son, Yahweh Shai, where the elect are going to be segregated and separated and beamed up, and the wicked are going to be destroyed. And that's the harvest in the end of the world. But this Ecclesiasticus 27 and 6. The fruit declareth if the tree have been dressed. So is the utterance of a conceit in the heart of a man. So your fruit is your works. Your works show if you're being taken care of, right? If you're being tilled, if you're studying, if you're praying, if you're reading, if the spirit of the Most High is with you, right? So if you look at a tree and it has rotten fruit, you know that tree is not being dressed. It's not being taken care of. Nobody's pruning it. They didn't dig about it. They didn't fertilize it. They didn't dung it. They didn't hedge it about. They just left it to the wild crows and to the wild beasts of the field to mar and destroy. But if this a clear sign of a man who takes care of his tree is the fruit that it bears. So if you're a type of brother that waters that tree, you make sure it gets sunlight, you shoo wild beasts off of it, man, right? You fertilize it, you dig about it, you nurture it, you prune it, you take care of it, then you're going to see good fruit, healthy apples, or whatever fruit that you decide to grow, right? So your works declare if the Spirit of the Most High is working with you. And if you're doing the works of a wheat or of the elect, you can see, brothers, their fruit declares if the tree hasn't been dressed. They're double-minded, switch doctrines every 3 months, right? Committing all types of lewd things in the dark. Don't come around. Leave, come back. On pornographic lewd sites, just smoking weed. You can see they have fruit, but their fruit shows that their tree has not been dressed, right? But brothers got it.
Con is right. Let's go to the book of Mark, right? Chapter 5, right? And I started verse 3. Book of Mark, chapter 5, and verse number 3. It says, who had his dwelling amongst the tombs. Right, this is the man with the unclean spirits. So he didn't dwell in the house of the Lord. He didn't dwell, you know what righteousness was. A lot of brothers, they got their dwelling like Lot pitched towards Sodom, huh? And if you pitch in your tent and your mind is towards something, you entertaining it, huh? The Lord said, I have somewhat against thee because thou sufferest that wicked woman Jezebel, paraphrasing greatly, in the book of Revelation. So if you suffer something, you entertain something, you putting yourself in a situation where it could start getting in your mind. Right now, you can have a dream. Now that spirit is subconsciously on you. It's on your thoughts. It's on your dreams. Right now, you're trying to make sure you fight it off when you shouldn't have never been entertaining it or around it in the first place. So just like this man, spiritually, a lot of people got their dwellings amongst unclean things. It says, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains. Because he has so many spirits on him, huh? And no man could tame this man. You try to talk to certain people, hey, Ak, you going, I don't want to hear that. Hey, Ak, you should come to camp. Nah, what people say now, camp is full of politics, right? I don't want to be around that. I got my own path. It says, because that he had been off bound with fetters and chains, and the chains have been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs crying and cutting himself with stones. And brothers do that spiritually, man. You're in the dark somewhere going off and you cut yourself. What is that spiritually? You breaking down your temple. You pulling away this door. You snatching away, you know, this window. You breaking down the foundation. You snatching the pillars and you're cutting and you're breaking down yourself, man. I don't know any man in his right mind that would cut his own flesh and inflict harm into him. The same way spiritually people do that, man. By entertaining cigarettes, women, lewdness, thoughts, desires, fornication, all these things come within. So you got to wash yourself, right? Let's go to the mighty book of Matthew, chapter 7, and verse number 17. Matthew, we can start at 16. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 16 says, ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Right? So you're going to know a man by his actions, not what he say. You know, everybody say they love you. Everybody say they'll die for you. Everybody say that they're your friend. But when it all boils down, who's going to be there for you, man? It says, even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. Again, your fruit are your works, the things you bring forth. Right? The Lord has watered you. You in the garden with the elect and the men of the Lord and the women of the Lord amongst the nation. Right? He's getting water. He's right next to you. Iron sharpeneth iron. There's no reason why you shouldn't be getting watered, man. The Lord says, so every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. So if you're corrupt from the foundation on up, meaning inwardly, you're going to bring forth what? Wickedness, man. So deep down what's in man's heart, you're going to bring it out and it's going to manifest. And you know it manifests, man. Adultery don't just happen overnight. You didn't slip and fall. Getting drunk and getting high didn't happen overnight, man. You had that person's phone number. You put yourself in that environment. So when you corrupt yourself from the foundation, which is spiritual, then you were never stable to begin with. And you bring forth the abundance of what you've been entertaining. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit. So if you're good, even though you fall 7 times, you're going to get back up again, man. Right? Brothers are going to fall. Right? That's in Isaiah, the 40th chapter. Young men are going to fall, man. We're going to fall in this thing. But what do you do after? A lot of people, they get themselves over to the things that they entertain, and it's it for me, man. That spirit got to be alleviated and killed out of Israel, that giving up spirit, man. A lot of brothers fall out of the truth, leave camps because they don't feel good enough, man. Nobody's good enough, but it's the will of fighting. The Lord said this is the condition of the battle. Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewed down, meaning the Lord is going to slowly chop you down, and he's going to give you over to your heart's desire, man. It says, and cast into the fire, whereby, so like wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. And that's spiritual too, because fruit doesn't just grow overnight. It takes time. It takes watering. It has to be in the right season. So the same way you look at man, don't be too hasty to credit a brother. Here the brother is over your house. You lent the brother the key to your house, man. He knows all your whereabouts, who you are inside and out. Now you have to watch that man. You have to watch that woman. You have to see the fruit that they bring forth. And all of this is for the Lord. And two, last point, we all have to bring up a harvest unto the Lord. So when you look at that brother bringing no works, whatever that may be, you can see how he cares about the Lord. And then like the Lord said, the altar should be fat when you bring up your abundance to the Lord. So you want to be in a spirit to where you're always bringing forth fruit. You got it, King.
Con, that's right. You know, because no time that, well, we don't know the time that the Most High is going to send the reapers. We don't know when Revelation, the 14th chapter, is going to happen, where the harvest is coming. So, like, let's get there. Let's go to Revelations, the 14th chapter, and start at verse number 15. Right? We don't understand and know when these times are coming, but we can perceive through the prophecies, through what's going on in the earth, that the time is near. Right? The Lord is coming with great wrath to inflict pain against the cluster that he finds and deems not worthy, and that cluster that is close to him, which is the elect. Right? And no man knows his end time conditions. Right? No man knows is he part of the elect, or he'll be spared, or his sins will be forgiven. So we have to move as though, right, we're still racing and trying to get in first place. Because soon as you look back, it's when you start to stumble and you start to fall. Right? This is Revelations chapter 14 and 15. And another angel came out of the temple crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, saying, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. So the harvest of the earth is ripe when that elect is sealed. When that last number of the 144,000 is sealed, that's when the reaping shall begin. Right? That's when those who are chosen by Yahweh Shemel shall be called up and see the destruction through the sea of glass, and those who are left are going to receive the reward of the wrath of the indignation from the Lord. Right? Verse 16. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in the sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, also having a sharp sickle, and another angel came out from the altar which had power over fire, and cried with a loud voice to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the cluster of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are full. Right? What's the cluster of the vine of the earth? The wickedness that's going on. Right? All the evil that's going on. Right? And it tells you in verse number 19. And the angel thrust in his sickle in the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it in a great winepress of the wrath of the Lord. Right? What's a winepress? It's a tool where it pushes and smashes grapes to get the juices out of it. Right? It smushes it over and over and over. Can we get a picture of a wine press, Baba Kishar? So that's what's happening. Right? The Lord is going to be smushing these grapes over and over and over in his wrath because they thought not to hold fast the understanding of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Even the heathens have the Bible, right? These are ancient wine press, right? They'll step on it and they'll continue to step and step and step. And those basins at the bottom will get filled up with the blood of the grape. So the Lord is out here. He's letting them grow together like we just read in Matthew, right? They're growing together, but only the angels are going to be able to tell who's part of the elect, who kept themselves pure, who wasn't defiled in the ways of this life, or who was outright wicked and outright off and outright sinful. Right, let's go to Sirach chapter 21 and start at verse number 2. Right, so it's important to maintain good works, to examine, right, to not be filled with contention, not to be filled with hatred, not to be filled with lust, not to be filled with drunkenness, all the works of the flesh that separate you from the fear of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Right, this is Sirach chapter 21 and 2. Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent. For if thou comest too near it, it will bite thee. The teeth thereof are as the teeth of a lion, slaying the souls of men. Right? So the Lord is telling you to flee from sin. Right? Because that serpent, you may not see the serpent. The grass may be too tall or he blends in with the leaves. But when you see it, you start to run. You run a 4-4 to get away from that serpent. Because if you come too close, it's going to destroy you. Right, all iniquity is as a two-edged sword, and the wounds whereof cannot be healed. So the wounds of your iniquities are you just cutting and stabbing and slicing yourself away. Right, landing back on the precept that Uriah brought out, the man in the tombs. Right, so you have to understand that you're choosing a path of death when the Most High is looking for fruit that is undefiled. Right, fruit that is good enough to bring forth, abundance and praise. Right, verse number 4, to terrify and do wrong will waste away riches. Thus the house of the proud shall be made desolate. Right, only a proud man will be Dalton, acting as though he's exempt from judgment and execution that's coming. Right, you're going to be made desolate. Right, you're just a tear just waiting to be burnt up when the fire to come. Right, but brothers got it.
Yeah, that's right, man. And it's really a scary thing, man, not knowing. Now you have faith in Yahweh Shemel Shah that the Most High is gonna have mercy on you, but you don't want to get into a spirit where or you're convincing yourself that you are the elect. I remember there was a brother years ago, like 10 years ago, he did a video and he started naming all of the brothers that he thought was the 144,000 very confidently. And then some brothers get satisfied to a point where they feel like they don't have to work any harder or labor or do more work in the vineyard because they feel as though the works that they have already done is enough for them, and they justify themselves in their own eyes and they walk confidently in the plain way. And that's not a good spirit to have, man. Right? Because again, nobody knows they're in lot, right? Nobody knows they're in lot. But again, I want to get it's a precept in Luke, the 12th chapter. I want to get real quick. Right? This is St. Luke, chapter 12, and verse number 16. And he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. So he had a lot of fruit, a lot of corn, wine, olives, grapes, whatever the man grew, it brought forth plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do? Because I have no room where to bestow my fruits. And he said, this will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and all my goods. And I will say to my soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. And that's not a good spirit to have, man. Just because you have had and acquired an abundance of fruits, and it might be a brother who's increased. Maybe you went from knowing, 3 precepts, now 30 or 300. Maybe you came into this truth and you were slow, and now, you're on a strong level. right? Maybe you got a wife now, you got children, you know this breakdown, you know this parable, you can speak the Hebrew, right? You're equipped with knowledge to the point now where you say, I'm gonna take my ease. I'm gonna take my foot off the gas. I got much goods laid up for years. See, and you can't live life today off of what you did yesterday, man. Right? Because no matter how righteous you were yesterday, if you're wicked today, your righteousness might not be remembered in the eyes of the Most High. So every day is a day to be better than who you were the day before. So it's a foolish thing to hoard up works that you have done in time past, and now you take your ease because you think your previous works are enough for you to make it in the eyes of Yahweh Shah. So now you take your ease and you stop reading as often because your first 5 years in the truth, you know, you was on fire. First 8 years in the truth, you know, you were zealous. 9 years, now you're kind of taking your ease a little bit. You don't fast as often. You don't study like you used to, right? All you remember in your mind is all of the mighty camps you had. This ain't a had thing, man. We don't live our life in the past, man. We press toward the mark. We always going forward. Continuous improvement, working harder, more reading, more praying, more traveling, more labor, more getting your house in order, more getting yourself in order, more killing off the old man. The Apostle Paul said, I die daily. So you can't take your ease, eat and drink with the drunken of the world. Let me get a precept for that real quick. Eating and drinking with the drunkards, right? Meaning you go back in the world and you're dealing with the people who fell off and were never in this thing. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 45. Who then is that faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household to give them meat in due season? So the season for you to take your ease is the season that the Most High determines. It's not up to you to determine when it's time for you to take your ease, eat, drink, and be merry. Ain't nothing to be merry about. Now, obviously, brothers going to have a time where, you know, you laugh, you have mirth, you know, you drinking, you had a feast day, whatever. But all in all, the kingdom of heaven is not established. And your mirth is not forever. So your reward and meat in due season, it's not up to you. It's up to the Most High. Right? Reading on. Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. That's present tense. That's an active, I believe they call it active verbs or one of those terms, man. You know, you got past stuff like past speeches and you got active. Let me see if that's an actual thing. Salakia. Is that an active? I think that's a word, right? Words that describe what the subject of a sentence does, driving action and energy into writing. That's not what I want. But there's a particular term of speech where you're doing something in present tense. That might be what I'm looking for. This is present tense. When Yahweh Shah returns, you should be doing. Not, oh, I'm done already. Or I'm going to get to doing it. You got to be living in this truth right now, man. Watching, getting your house in order, getting your spirit built up, still planting seeds. You still want to be planting seeds when Yahweh Shah return. Still laboring in the vineyard. Verily I say unto you that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming. He don't say that out loud, but he's thinking it based off of his fruit. A brother that says in his mind, my Lord delayeth his coming, is a brother that he begins to relapse into his old sins. And he hangs out around the old demons that he once separated from. He goes back to the weed. He goes back to just being he wants to go back to a Christian or a Muslim or whatever. He goes back into the world because he in his mind really doesn't believe Yahweh Shah is going to return. And shall begin to smite his fellow servants and to eat and drink with the drunken. These are those that are drunk off of the wine of the whore, Babylon the Great, and the filthiness of her abominations. So back in in Luke 12 and 19, it says, and I will say to my soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. Do not have that spirit, right? Don't have that spirit where you take your ease, you're eating and drinking with the drunkard, and now you're marrying the world based off of the works that you did. It's about what you're doing, not about what you did. What are you doing right now, man? Somebody had a song, if I'm not mistaken, something close to it is, what have you done for me lately? You know, what are you doing right now for the Lord? Well, you know, last year, man, I did. Hey, look, man, what are you doing right now? Verse 20. But the Most High said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then who shall those things be which thou hast provided? So if you live in your life in the past and the Most High take you now and you wasn't doing nothing, it's over for you, man. All of your works mean nothing. What are you doing right now? And constantly labor, and brothers should be in the vineyard. Men worked in the vineyard every day to labor and bring forth the first fruits to Yahweh Bashmi Yahweh. Right? Don't be the brother that lays up goods for many years. The brothers got it.
Con, that's right. Let's go to Psalm, right? Chapter 107, and that start at verse 33. Psalm chapter 107 and verse 33. It say he turneth rivers into a wilderness. So the Most High can dry up knowledge to land me back on the brother's point, man. You can have infinite wisdom. You forget precepts. You're trying to figure out that breakdown from last year. See, brothers used to know breakdowns off the top of their head, but when you don't study them for a while, that breakdown starts to become meat to you. I mean, you start to get timelines wrong, dates wrong. You start to mix up different kings. Here you are talking about Alexander the Great, where you're going into Egypt dynasty, the Egyptian dynasty, man. You start going off because you're not studying and being sharp. So the Lord could turn rivers that are flowing into knowledge into a wilderness, and the water springs into dry ground. So all around you, a lot of the times when you come into the truth, you on fire. You running full speed because you don't know this, you don't know that, you don't know this, you don't know that. You got 15 links pulled up. You're on the phone with 5 brothers. You on all these study calls. You're traveling to see the camps, right? So every direction you turn, you got waters flowing to you, man. Right? It says he turneth the wilderness, right? So like your verse 34, a fruitful land into barrenness. So once you bear fruit, right, that could be all around you. The Lord can strip that, and now everything you see is a dry ground, man. That's scary. Right. Yeah, this is physical, but it's spiritual too, man. How many mighty men have failed in this truth? I mean, you look at the count of our fathers, man. You look at Samson, right? You look at Adam. You look at a lot of men that have failed from such a high estate. You understand, either to death, and or losing everything that the Most High has given them, man. It says, for the wickedness of them that dwell therein. So when you're wicked, what does the Lord do? He strips the fruit from you, man. He strips water from you, strips life from you. Remember, a blessing in the law, the Lord opened up the windows of heaven and he rains down upon us. That's a blessing. Yeah, that's physical, but it's also spiritual. Hey, what's going on, man? You only been in the truth 2 years. 2 years, and this brother is breaking it down. He's read the whole Bible. Because that brother is serious and he's getting watered by the Lord. You think the Most High is going to give all this knowledge into an individual that's going to do nothing with it? I mean, you got to really think about it. Why would and we're stewards in the Lord's vineyard. We're stewards over the Lord's possessions. Why would he give something that's faithful and a secret unto a steward that's not going to keep his house, man? We're keepers of the vineyard, like Adam was. So we're not going to keep it, trim it. That goes into rebuking, chastising, uplifting, right? Nurturing, helping, right? Leading, all of these different things. Why would the Most High give those spiritual gifts? That's what they really are to those individuals, man. You got certain brothers, they were shy in the world, but soon as the brother steps into a position to teach, now the brother's bold out of nowhere, man. An individual may have been awkward, antisocial, but when he come into the truth, he feels true brotherly love. That's the spirit of the Lord resting upon you, man. It literally changes who you are. Verse 35, he turneth the wilderness into a standing water, and dry ground into water springs. So the same way the Lord could reverse that. You know, a lot of brothers, they feel like I'm over and dead, man. I ain't produced no fruit. You know, I've been going off. I've been lukewarm. Brother's not over with, man. Verse 36. And there he maketh the hungry to dwell, that they may prepare a city of habitation. So right now is the dry land. America's the dry land. The valley of the shadow of death throughout the four corners, the ghettos, the slums. These are the hungry of the Israelites, man. They're hungry for knowledge, wisdom, living waters, milk, bread, honey, meat, all of the spiritual things of doctrine and understanding that rains down from the third heaven. So we're dwelling here and we're preparing a city. That city is us gathering together, stone by stone, brick by brick, coming and doing his work. And sow the fields. So why the Lord got us in a city of habitation to do what? To work, man. It said, and sow the fields and plant vineyards, which may yield fruits to increase. So the Lord got us dwelling here hungry that we may work to receive a reward, man. So all brothers that's working, you may feel like, well, I'm in the city, nobody's really hearkening to the word. I've been in the truth 5 years. Really, I don't see any fruit of it. See, the fruit is really in the day of the Lord. Because all the things we have done, the Lord's going to pluck us up, most high willing, and it'll all be worth all of our laboring, and we'll enter into rest. Right, let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book of, let's see what I want. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 15, in verse number 2. Ezekiel chapter 15, in verse number 2. It says, son of man, what is the vine tree more than any tree? So the Lord looked at Israel as a reprobate, man. I mean, what is this vine tree over all the other trees? The vine tree is the Lord's favorite tree. You're supposed to bring forth what? Fruit off the vine. But what are you more than any of these other nations? Because the way we act and conduct ourselves is as if we're equal to the heathen. Strange revelings, drunkenness, and clubs. We don't act like a holy people. It says, or than a branch which is among the trees of the forest. What makes you different? Shall wood be taken thereof to do any work? Meaning, can I use you? When I look at this tree, the prime thought of the Lord right here is, can I use you? If you can't be used for the Lord, you're going to be hewed down, man. So the Lord says, should a wood be taken thereof for any work? It says, or will men take a pin of it to hang any vessel thereon, man? I can't even use the smallest one of you, man. You don't want to be these individuals that committed sin, lewdness in the eyes of the Lord, where the Lord gets rid of you. Behold, it is cast into the fire for fuel. The fire devoureth both the ends of it, and the midst of it is burned. It is meat for any work. Is it meat for any work, man? So brothers got to really consider yourself in this truth. Again, a tree does what? It brings forth fruit. So as a tree, can the Most High use you? Are you bringing forth fruit? And if not, the Lord's looking at these trees like it's not meat for any work. Like the Lord said, why cumbereth it the ground? Why are you taking up space, man? It's a lot of brothers that's hungry in this truth, man, that sincerely want it. You got a prospect right now laboring, his behind off, man, to get in a congregation, to learn more, to take notes, to inquire at the steps of men of wisdom, man, while a lot of brothers may take it for granted. So you really want to dive in and consider with examination what you have done and what you're doing. Brothers, God.
Con, those are excellent points through the Spirit. To let me back on what the brother was talking about, let's go to Matthew, the 20th chapter, right? So everybody should have a mind fixated on agriculture, right? Trees, vineyards, laboring, fruit. We're not just a people of mirth and wine and drunkenness, right? We're agricultural people. So all of our thoughts, our actions and mannerisms should always be geared towards husbandry, laborer's work. And that's the mind state that you should have in these last days, right? Because the Most High got many administrations into the body of Hamashiach. So it's always something to be done. It's always some way to benefit the nation. It's always some way to put your brick in, right? You don't want to think surface level in this truth, right? You got people who make staffs. You got people who make music. You got people who make fringe shirts and give them out. There's so much work that can be done, right? Don't sit there and be idle. Don't sit there and say, well, I don't know what I can do. Pray unto the Most High that he increases you. He gives you something that's sustainable for you to be able to receive that penny. Right, quick precept before we go into that. Can we go to Sirach 29 and verse number 11? Right, like the brothers were saying, you don't want to have that, I was on fire 5 years ago, but that's a very important piece to remember. You was on fire 5 years ago, so the Most High may have allowed you to stay in this truth that long to be able to go harder than you were 5 years ago. Because we're still laying up that spiritual treasure for the day of adversity, for the day of trouble. Right, this is Sirach 29 and 11. Lay up thy treasure according to the commandments of the Most High, and it shall bring thee more profit than gold. Right, so we're laying up treasures, right? We're laying up our storehouse, that's the next verse, right, for the times to come. Shut up arms in thy storehouse, and it shall deliver thee from all affliction. So now is the time to be thinking about what more can I do to benefit the nation? What more can I do to show my works to Yahweh Shem Yahushua? What more can I do to be an example to the next brother, to the next sister who's just finding out the knowledge of being an Israelite? Who's just finding out that there's more than just Deuteronomy 28. There's more than just the book of Matthew and John in the Bible. Right? That's all a lot of people know. But since you have that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, you have to shut up arms in your storehouse. You got to help people. You got to be an asset more than a liability in this truth. Right? Like the brothers were saying, you start going into the congregation of the dead, you become more of a liability. And the Most High puts more of the what's the word I'm looking for? Not sensual, but carnal mind state on you rather than being spiritual. Right? Instead of thinking of the precepts, you're thinking of rap lyrics on how to live your life. Right? Instead of thinking of parables and deep sayings, you're thinking about songs that you heard on the radio driving to work. Right? Verse 13. It shall fight for thee against thy enemies better than a mighty shield and strong spear. So all that laboring is going to fight for you. Right? Think about the trees and the fruits in the garden. Right? They withstand all different types of elements. You got frost at night. Right? You got storms that may come to the day. But when they withstand that, they bring forth beautiful fruit that's meat to be eaten. How much more when spirits try to hop on you, when you don't feel as mighty, when you feel like work is drowning you and you don't have the capacity to take a deep breath, right? All of your works is going to fight for you like a mighty man with a shield and a strong spear. Right? You got King David and King David's mighty men around you fighting for you when you continue to put in the work that you're supposed to. Right? Let's go back to Matthew, the 20th chapter. Baruch Yeshua. Right? So this is the parable about the laborers in the vineyard. Right? I'm going to read a few and I'm going to jump down. Right? It says, for the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. Right? So that man who is the householder is Yahweh Shai. It's Yahweh Shem Yahushua. He's hiring laborers to the vineyard. Right? He's waking people up to bring forth tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, so on and so forth, into the kingdom of heaven. More fruit that's meat to spread the knowledge of the gospel to those who are without. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. Right? What's that penny a day? The kingdom of heaven. Right? He sent us into the vineyard. Right? And good husbandmen, they know exactly what specific vine needs, what water and what minerals and what's lacking and why this isn't producing. They're attentive to the stock that they have to take care of. Right? They're attentive to that fruit. Right? If you see your tomato plant leaning over like this, maybe you should get a stick so it has something to support itself on.
Right.
So the hirers of the venue are very attentive to the work that they're doing. So you can't be a laborer in the vineyard if you're not attentive, if you're not watching, if you're forgetting things and you're not taking the time to go back and look it over again. There's no way possible you're meant to be a vineyard in the Lord of the vineyard of the Lord. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace. So these are more people who are being called in to do the work of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Called in to do the work to bring forth more fruit. He said unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way. Right? We can jump down to verse 6. Right? Verse 6. And it says, in about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and said to them, why stand ye here all day idle? They said to him, because no man have hired us. He said to them, go ye also in the vineyard, whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. So the Lord is bringing in an abundance of workers, right? If you was in this truth in 2015, 2016, you know, the truth wasn't as prominent as it is in 2026, right? The Most High is bringing in more workers into the vineyard, right? Let's jump down to verse number, I'm going to jump down to verse 29. So like your verse 9, not 29, so like your verse 9. Right, and it says, and when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny. Right? So you had people who had this knowledge earlier, and they thought that they should receive more than those who found out later in this truth. Right? Going back to what these brothers were saying, right? You thinking about those works that you did before. Like those works make you higher than the next man. No, that's why we said you have to have a mind of agriculture. Knowing that crops continue all the way through until it's the last harvest. Right, so it's always work being done. Right, let's slide down maybe 3 verses. Bob Kishar. Right, I'm gonna go to 13, and I'm gonna read to 16. But he answered one of them and said, friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst thou not agree with me for 1 penny? Right, so some people, like Ariah was going into 2 years in this truth, they start to increase more than you were. And you start to feel a certain type of way. Right, you may have envy, you may have jealousy. Right, not saying that it's warranted, but things can happen, right? You expect more than that because you've been in the truth longer. Right, verse 14, take that thine is and go thy way, and I will give unto this last, even as unto thee. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with my own? Is I evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first shall be last, for many be called, but few chosen. Right? So that's the mind frame we have to have. Many are called, but few are going to be chosen. Right? So a lot of people doing this work. Right? The Lord said, depart from me, ye workers of iniquity, are the same people who are rebuking and casting out demons in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So to know that you're laboring and to think that the works that you did 4 months ago, 8 months ago, 3 years ago is enough to sustain you is asinine, and you're deceiving yourself. Right? You should be desiring to be chosen, not just called. Right? But brothers got it.
Yeah, and that's a good point, man. A lot of brothers may not understand that as a people, we are an agricultural people, man. We have our own calendar, we have different seasons. In the ancient world, you knew what time your crops would grow. You planted your olives, your berries, you planted your grapes, you planted your wheat, you broke up the ground. We were in tune with that. A lot of our feast days are rooted in agriculture. The Feast of Tabernacles is not just, okay, I got my tent from Walmart. It's about the harvest, right? The Feast of Weeks, it's about a harvest. A lot of our feast days, even Passover, coming out of Passover, when you put your sickle to the corn, that's you counting the Pentecost. So you will have to know the seasons and know the times and know what had to be planned and how to get down with that, or you'll die. They ain't had no Walmart, man. They have a produce section that you can go to at BJ's or whatever, right? You had to, if you didn't work, then you didn't make it, right? And that's why it's important. A lot of the precepts, they tie into labor and husbandry, because that's the spirit, again, like brothers are going into, the Most High want us to be in. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick, just for edification's sake. Hebrew agricultural calendar. And we pulled these up before, but let's see. Some of these are better than others. Let's see. All right, this is decent enough. So let me see if I can open this up. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you can see the seasons that we had. The springtime, that's when we had the barley harvest, the flax harvest. Then they actually give you a few precepts, right? You had the barley harvest that came in later, and then around the summertime, which we're approaching soon, our wheat was beginning to grow. You had our early figs, first ripe grapes around that time. And then you had the vintage. A vintage is the gathering of grapes. Olives, grapes, fig harvest. And then you had the fall time, right? You had dates and summer figs, vegetables and olives. You had the former rain. You had the latter rain. You had a lot going on, right? And brothers got to look into this. You have to know what our life was about, huh? And then it'll help you further understand the scriptures. If you just open up the Bible, going to Revelation, and a brother went into a precept about husbandry and a wellspring, you won't know what's going on. What a plow is, what winnowing is, flax, what's another, fitches and cumin and clods, plow, oxen. You got to know what this stuff is, man. That'll help you understand a lot of the scriptures. I just want to make that point, but I want to get this to add to what brothers are saying in Isaiah the 27th chapter, right? This Isaiah chapter 27 and verse number 2. And that day sing ye unto her a vineyard of red wine. And we're likening it to a vineyard when you read Isaiah the 5th chapter. Right, we're a vineyard for Yahweh Shema Shai. I, the Lord, do keep it. I will water it every moment, lest any hurt it. I will keep it night and day. And that's the spirit you want to have over your vineyard, over your vessel, over your wife, your children, the congregation, the body. You have to keep it, right? Keep it doesn't mean you possess it as this, I'm going to keep this and hold on to it. Keep means to watch over it. When you was out there laboring in the vineyard, you had wild boars, snakes, foxes. Scriptures speak about these things. They mar the vine, they take the grapes. You had crows, and you had to shoot them out or get rid of them or keep certain things in your vineyard, man. And you had to water it. Our fathers, they watered it every moment. Whenever the opportunity presented itself, they didn't take weeks off for watering it. A lot of brothers wondering why your wife out the spirit, why your children out the spirit, right? Why are you out the spirit? Because you're not watering at the frequency that you should be. And every plant is different. Some plants, man, like fig plants, you got to give them a deep water, if that's the word I'm looking for. Then other ones, you kind of get a mist, right? Some plants, you just give them a mist. Some plants are in dry climate. Some plants, they need steam. And everybody's different. And you got to know how to water, how to deal with what the Most High gave you. You overwater something, it's over with. You don't give it too much water, it's over with. So discernment has to kick in, and brothers have to make sure you're well watered. You got to know what your spirit needs to bring forth fruit. Maybe one chapter is not enough for you a day, brother. You're not bringing forth any fruit reading one chapter. Maybe you need to kind of increase with that. Maybe you need 4 chapters, 5. Well, brother, okay, you can't overcome this weed demon or this sex demon or this perverse demon you got. Maybe praying is not enough. Maybe you need to combine praying with fasting. Right, brother? Maybe you being isolated and by yourself is no good for you. You're on lewd sites, right? You're still hanging around people of the world. Maybe you need to get up, get out your comfortability state and be around the brotherhood. You have to see what's meat for you and what's good for you, right? So the Lord said, I will water it every moment, lest any hurt it. Lest means before, meaning before anybody heard it. So that's having a prudent mind, knowing that The adversary and Satan is going to and fro. There's always opposition. You can't have the spirit of being naive in this truth. Just thinking that, okay, I'm in this truth, I'm watering myself, I'm growing, and there's nothing coming against me. No, it's demons coming against you. Spirits attack you in your sleep. Spirits hop on people at your job to give you hell out of nowhere. Spirits can hop on your family, man, to vex you. You can be plagued with your own heart and your own mind. And you have to keep it night and day, right? You have to watch over it night and day. And that takes time. You got to stay up. You got to get up early. You have to have a schedule. You know, it's like your husbandmen had schedules. They were up at the cock crowing. They went to bed in Psalms 104, or they stopped laboring when the sun went down. They could discern the signs, the seasons. And quick precepts like let me get this in Matthew 16, right? And I want to get this in the NLT very quickly, right? Matthew 16 and 2, I believe that's what I want. Right? Let's see. Where's the Bible? Okay, this is not the site, so bear with me, Salakia. All right. Matthew chapter 16 and 2, he replied, you know the saying, red sky at night means fair weather tomorrow. So they were able to look at that. They were able to look at the sunset the previous day and know what the weather was going to be like tomorrow. And brothers lost that, man. You can't look at the weather tonight. Sometimes you can, but it's rare. So they were able to look at the sky at night, like tonight, and know what the weather would be tomorrow. Red sky in the morning means foul weather all day. You know how to interpret weather signs in the sky, but you don't know how to interpret the signs of the times. And he was cutting them, huh? And that's the spirit brothers got to have, man. You got to be able to interpret the signs of the times. People are trying to hurt you, devour you. You got to protect your fruit. You got to water it. You got to grow. You got to stay in the word. You got to be around the brotherhood, you know? And they were able to discern. They was on a high level. They were able to look at the morning and see how the sun was rising, and they had a tin of orange. They said, it's going to be a bad day. Let me bring the oxen inside. Let me bring the people inside. Let me cancel the wedding. Right? So they was on a high level when it came to discernment in agriculture and those things. One more point. The Lord even says in Job that the cattle know at the time when it's about to rain. Greatly paraphrasing. I mean, greatly paraphrasing. It says the cattle concerneth the vapor thereof. So even the beasts, they knew when it was about to rain and, you know, when it was about to storm. And man, you should know the same things about your vineyard. World War III is on the rise. Make sure your vineyard is taken care of. A famine is about to happen. Make sure your vineyard is taken care of. Prices going up, all hell breaking loose. Make sure you're watering your vineyard. Right? Can I get that one to arrive real quick about the cattle?
Bring it out, King.
I'm gonna have to. I believe that's Job. Let me just get it for sake of time. The Lord says about the cattle concerning the vapor thereof. Right, Salakia. Let me get that real quick. That precept, brothers rarely bring that one out. This one not coming out unless you're going into a lesson like this. And I'm going to get this in another translation, but this is Job 36 and 33. The noise thereof concerneth it, the cattle also concerning the vapor. So let me read this in another translation. Right? Let me get that in Job real quick, and brothers got it. Job 36. See, they don't have. Okay, here it is. Job 36 and 33. The thunder announces his presence. The storm announces his indignant anger. Right? It says, or even the cattle know when a storm is coming. Right? And that's what when you go deep into it, that's what it's saying. The cattle can sense the vapor, the water pressure drop, the air get thick, saturated, and they start doing their thing, man. Right? So they were in tune with those things, and you have to be more in tune in the beasts of the field concerning the times to make sure that you're taking care of your vineyard and you're giving it the appropriate amount of light and the appropriate amount of water. All right? Knowing that evil can befall it, What you got, a king?
That's a great point. That beast, can even sense those things. So man got to be in tune too. Let's go to the mighty book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11 and verse 6. Ecclesiastes chapter 11 and verse 6. It says, in the morning sow thy seed. Now, what this is going into is you got a lot of people that they procrastinate. They wait until tomorrow. They don't want to do what they need to do tonight, right now, man. In the morning, when you get up, go hard, man. Sow your seed. It didn't say in the morning, go back to sleep. In the morning, relax. In the morning, take a break. No, it said in the morning, sow your seed. Because that's what the husbandman did early in the morning. As soon as they got up, they got straight to work and they broke down the ground and they started putting those seeds in and they were sowing their seeds, man. Because it's of the Most High to get an increase. It says, and in the evening, withhold not thy hand. So from the morning to the evening, you got to be doing what? You got to be working. Is that literal? You get a overall and a straw in your mouth, man, and a rocking chair. No, that's spiritual, man. In the morning, spiritually, all day long, you have to be putting in work. Whether that's calling a brother to mend an argument or a feud, right? Fixing your marriage if it takes all day, all night, right? Doing whatever you could do, writing on a lesson. I'm trying to break this down. You still going into it and you praying for wisdom, right? Wisdom of Solomon 7:7. Like the Lord said, he prayed and understanding was given him. So you got to go hard all day long. It's not just going to fall into your lap. You're not going to blink 3 times and see a nice vineyard when you go outside. No, all of that takes hard work. It said, and withhold not thy hand, for thou knowest not whether shall prosper. Brothers don't know if that extra night reading is going to profit you, man. It may profit you. You're going over your precepts. I'll never be able to remember precepts like these, brothers. You don't want to have that mentality, man. How do you guys do that? I'll never be able to do that. No, brother, keep going hard. Keep your hands on the plow, man. Keep doing the work of the Lord. The Most High will increase you. It says neither this or that. I mean, you don't know if you going extra hard with that extra fast is going to profit that demon that's on your back, man. Here you are, you fasted. The demon's still there, still troubling you, still in your ear, still in your mind, still when you go to sleep, still in your thoughts, hopping on people, saying spiritual things that they don't even know about. This spirit will never leave me, man. You'll never know when you go hard how much you going hard that work could profit and pay off spiritually, man. It says either this or that, or whether they both should be alike. So the Most High can have anything happen. Don't think you got to do some big, long, broad amount of work as if it got to be for 7 years. The Lord said in the book of Revelation, we'll have to get it, but thou has a little strength and has not denied my name, man. If you're sincere and you're really trying this work and you want to see an increase, the Lord said with all profit, with all labor, there's profit. So whatever you put your hand to, the Most High will increase that in sincerity and in truth if you're really doing it in sincerity. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 15. John chapter 15 in verse number 2. This is John, chapter 15 and verse 2. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he plungeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. That's why brothers, after maybe, a year, a couple of months in the truth, now they're becoming teachers. After teachers, now they're becoming husbands. The Most High is giving them more. And you got brothers in the truth, they're just committing fornication. They're falling out. They're coming back. They're falling out. They're coming back. They're not giving an increase. You look at a brother, man, I only known this brother, say, yeah, 5 years later, this brother got a wife. He got children. He's increased in the spirit, man. You see the fruit that the Most High has grown on that brother and his family by his spirit. So you bring forth more fruit. It says, now ye are clean through the word which I've spoken unto you. Abide in me. And you have to stay upon the vine tree. Right? There's no other way. You have to abide in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Right? And I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself. Nobody's seen a branch, right, unrooted, bringing forth fruit right on the side of the road somewhere. That's not possible. You have to stay within the foundation, rooted, to bring forth fruit. It says, except it abide in the vine, means stay in Yahweh Shai. It says, no more can ye except ye abide in me. I am the vine, and ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, ye can do nothing. And a lot of brothers, they think there's some type of other way to gain more understanding other than the Lord. The Lord said he's the door in the book of John, the 10th chapter. There's no other way, man. Right? You can't somehow, have that Simon spirit in Acts the 8th chapter trying to buy the Holy Spirit, man. It takes hard work, right? It takes a whole lot of hard work, right? Really, in the spirit, to be able to obtain the amount that certain brothers have, man, through diligence, long hours of studying, I mean, this is not easy. I'm going to get this other quick precept, and the brothers got it, in the book of Ecclesiastes. Let me get this quick precept. Ecclesiastes, I believe that's the 2nd chapter. Let me see. Ecclesiastes 2, and that start at verse 26. Right? Let's start at 20. This whole thing is fire. Let's start at 19. Right? It says, and who knoweth whether he should be a wise man or a fool, right? When his substance is left, yet shall he have ruled over all my labor when I have labored, and wherein I have stewed, right? Shewed myself wise under the sun. This is also vanity. So all the work he's doing. Therefore, I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity, yet to a man that have not labored therein shall he leave for his portion, right? So you have men, the point is that a man labors in wisdom. He set up his house. He set up enough substance and inheritance for his grandchildren. You got really men in his life really working, man. They got a will together. They're real responsible, right? They're setting up things in the spirit, in order. They're building churches. They're teaching their family. So, I mean, even though he said he don't know whether he's going to leave it to a man without wisdom or not, the point is there are men that's laboring in wisdom, in knowledge, in equity, balance, right? Verse 22, for what have man of all his labor and a vexation of his heart wherein he have labored under the sun, right? Let's get to the point, 26. It says, for God giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy, but unto the sinner he giveth travail, right? So when you labor, as you read this chapter, all may seem vanity, but what's not vain in his life is what the Lord gives you, that increase, man. That's not vain, right? Silver may be vain, gold may be vain, whether you're not knowing if your children's children are going to take care of what you give them. All of these things you're working for that may feel vain, but what you work for, the Lord increasing you in, is not vanity. So all your work that you did, even though this life is vain, is showing you Yahweh Shem Yahushua, he rewards you, man. He gives into your spirit wisdom, knowledge, understanding. You can eat, you could drink. I love the book of Ecclesiastes. It is very, very deep and it's beautiful, but yet a man goes to work every day. He labors, he takes care of his family. All of that's not for vain, right? It says, and to gather and to heap up, that he may give it unto Slakia, him that is good before God. This also is vanity and vexation of spirit, right? Brothers got it.
God. Let's go to Philippians chapter 4. And can we get it in the GNT? God, so it's imperative that we continue with this work. And we continue doing it, not just for ourselves, but for our family, like the brother was going into. Right? A man that labors for himself, right? All his stuff is going to be spoiled. Right? But a man who labors for his family, he wakes up, he knows that what he's doing is not in vain. He's going to work harder. He's going to put forth more of an effort to make sure his family has. Right? And that's the fruit of being in this truth. Right? Your mind isn't just me. Right? You think of the good things that the Most High is giving you, like the brother was going into. Right? You said you knew the brother for a year. Now, 5 years later, he got a family, he got a house, he got a better job. Right? That's the beauty of the truth. Right? Seeing the growth and desiring more growth from Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Right? A person who had a small garden Uh, 5 years ago, right, their garden is always expanding. Right, brothers know people who may have been gardening. Right, it's always expanding. Well, last year I did it like this. This next year I'm gonna do it like X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna bring forth double the fruit. Right, and that's how you should be thinking in these last days. Right, this is Philippians 4, and I'm gonna start at verse number. I'm gonna start at 3. And it says, "And you too, Salaki, and you too, my faithful partner, I want you to help these women, for they have worked hard with me to spread the gospel together with Clement and all my other fellow workers, whose names are in the good whose names are in God's book of the living. May you always be joyful in your union with the Lord. I say again, rejoice. Show a gentle attitude toward everyone. The Lord is coming soon." Right, here's the key point right here. Don't worry about anything, but in all your prayers, ask God for what you need, always asking him with a thankful heart. So to understand that plants don't ask to I don't know what plants will ask, but plants don't say I need this type of soil because I need it. Right? It trusts in the gardener to know what is needed to continue to grow. There's a different type of fertilizers, there's different type of composites you can make to help increase it. So what you do is you ask in your prayers for the Most High to give you what you need with a thankful heart. And God's peace, which is far beyond God. And God's peace, which is far beyond human understanding, will keep your hearts and minds safe in union with Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Right? He'll give you a perfect heart and mind if you stay steadfast in doing the works that are pleasing unto the Most High. Right? He'll give you all your heart desires and what you need to sustain in these last days. Right? If your mind is always fixated on pleasing the Lord. Right? And that's what fruit do. Fruit try to please that branch and that vineyard that it brought forth. Right? You got some that stay small, some grapes that may stay small, or some, I don't know, pears and apples that may stay a certain size, but there's other fruits that continue to grow and grow and grow, and they receive more nourishment from that plant that is given the nourishment. So that's how your mind should be. That's how you should be thinking. How can I receive more of the Most High so I can help the plants that are growing around me? So I can help increase more and more and more to help the next plant increase. Right, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and start at verse number 8. Right? 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 8. Right, it says, "Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one." Right, this is going into the people who were contentious because of who was teaching who. Right, I'm of Apollos, I'm of Paul. Right, the Lord said that was carnal because it's all one spirit that's working for the betterment of the creature. Right, which is the body of Yahushua. Right, now he that planteth and he that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his labor. Right, so we're all working to get the kingdom of heaven, and you're going to receive according to your own labor, according to the work that you did. Right, you got callus in your hands. Right, are you catching cramps in your shoulder blades and your triceps? Because you was out there tilling the ground until you got it deep enough where you can plant those seeds. Right? That's how you get the reward. Right? They say anything worthwhile having has to come with hard work. Right? Anything easier given to you is not worth it. Right? It tells you the sleep of a laboring man, loosely paraphrasing, is sweet. Right? It's sweet when you go to work and come home knowing that you're doing the right thing. Right? How much more is sweet knowing you have a good conscience towards your B'Shem Yahushua because you're keeping your vessel clean. Right? You're being an example to your children, being an example to the brethren and other families. Right? How good is that sleep? How fulfilling is that labor to see it? Right? For somebody to say, I want to raise my family the way that you're raising your family. And all you can say is all praises to the Most High. Right? Verse number 9. "For we are laboring together with Yahweh. Ye are God's husbandry. Ye are God's building. right? So we labor together to bring forth a beautiful temple of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Right? It's not just camps here and there and they bicker and they don't get along. We're all laboring to bring forth that beautiful temple of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. We're all part of the husbandry. Right? We're all in the field doing what we have to do to make sure that plants are getting watered, seeds are getting watered, right? We're all doing our work according to the grace of God, which is given unto me as a wise master builder. I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon. But let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon. Right. So, as well as being a husbandman and somebody who tills in the field, you're also a master builder. Right. We'll stay in the mind frame of gardening. Right. A master builder is going to build garden beds. A master builder is going to build fences so that beasts can't come in and devour the flock. Right? Your mind should always be thinking about how to keep the flock safe, how to keep your vineyard safe from Satan that goes about as a lion, seeking whom he can devour. Right? Us brothers over here, we think about how we can keep our family safe from the wiles of Satan in the world. Right? You got Satan that's on these YouTube channels. Right? You got Satan with these other children at school who are corrupting your children's mind. Right? You got to combat that wickedness with righteousness by being a wise master builder. Right? By using the husbandry that the Most High has given you, which is the precepts and the tools that you need. Right? Verse 11, for our foundation can no man lay. So like no man laid, then it is laid, which is Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. So any foundation of whatever's being grown, sown, built, has to be built upon the foundation of Yahweh Shai. When it's built upon the foundation of Yahweh Shai, it's automatically built upon the foundation of Yahweh. Because you can't have Yahweh Shai without Yahweh. So any foundation that has to be that strong subfloor, right? A subfloor is something that goes under carpets or floating laminate floors, so on and so forth. The subfloor has to be strong enough to support whatever's sitting upon it. Now, if any man build, can you scroll down just a little bit, Baba Kishah?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be manifest, for the day shall declare it. Right? So everybody can say, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm in the spirit. Right? The coin term in this truth, when you ask a brother how we doing, is I'm enduring, Ak.
Right.
Right? Everybody says I'm enduring. I say I'm enduring. Right? That's the coin phrase. But in that day, it's going to be made manifest, and the fruit is going to declare the tree exactly what's going on. Because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. If any man's work abide, which he had built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. So as a wise master builder, you should be building something that cannot be corrupted, that can't be mold ridden, that can't be blown down like the damn big bad wolf and the three little pigs. Right? Your house should be strong. And chiefly, it should be built upon that chief cornerstone, which the builders refused. Right? That chief cornerstone being Yahweh Shai. If you don't know about Yahweh Shai, your house is going to fall. If you're denying Yahweh Shai in your actions, your house is going to fall. Right? Your garden is going to be defiled. Right? There's not going to be any garrison to protect it. So examine, look, and fill the breaches. Right? Use the husbandry to dig up more holes if your plant isn't deep enough in the earth. There's a lot of gardening tools and or a lot of garden analogies that you can use, but examine to see if what you're building is going to endure when that fire is going to try it. Right, brothers got it.
And I, while you were saying that, I was looking up to link up with this foundation precept. I typed in first steps of making a garden just to see what it said. It says the essential first step in making a garden is selecting the right location. which involves finding a spot that receives at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight daily and has easy access to a water source. Experts advise starting small and observing your yard to find a flat, well-drained area for your garden. So that's that foundation, to add to what the brother was going into. If you pick the wrong location, if you decide to go to anywhere outside this truth, then you're not going to bear anything, man. All your work is going to be in vain. You're going to lay your soil up. You're going to try to plant your seeds, and you're wondering why they never grow because you didn't choose the right foundation, right? And your foundation has to be this truth, man. It can't be this and Christianity and the heathen can be saved. Now you're in the book of this and you're in the Quran and all hell is breaking loose, right? Even it made me think also that precept with Caleb's daughter, right? When she asked for the South land, or she received the South land, I believe she asked for the upper springs or a better land rather. Right, let me get this in Joshua chapter 15. Right, this is Joshua chapter 15 and verse number, I'm going to start at 16. And Caleb said, he that smiteth Kirjath Sepher and taketh it, to him will I give Achsah my daughter to wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, took it, and he gave him Achsah his daughter to wife. So he took down these heathen, and his that was his dowry he had to pay. His dowry wasn't money, it was his spirit of being valiant in war. And the Caleb said, you know what? That's a man of war, that's a man of the Lord. You can have my daughter to wife. Verse 18. And it came to pass when she came unto him, that she moved him to ask of her father a field. And she lighted off her ass. And Caleb said unto her, what wouldest thou? Who answered, give me a blessing, for thou hast given me a south land. Give me also springs of water. And he gave her the upper springs and the nether springs. And that's spiritual as well, because you might be in a situation where this little simple Philippians 4:6, Matthew 7:7, when you need growth, right? Where the Most High has to increase you. And you're praying to Yahweh Shema Shai, but you also have to have that spirit of boldness to want to grow, man. When you're calling upon the Most High, when you know what you need, you can't grow anything in the South land. The South land is like an arid, dry land. And she was able to realize for her household that where we are right now, it's not going to allow us to survive. So she said, give me also springs of water. And what her father do? Did he deny it? Did he say to hell with you? It says, and he gave her the upper springs and the nether springs. So seek, and you shall find, man. You in a dry land, you catching hell, you're not bearing no fruit. You're wondering why this is happening, that's happening. You in that spiritual South land that never grows. Ask the Most High to give you springs of water, and the Most High is going to give you upper springs and nether springs, give you above and beyond what you need. And every brother falls into this South land situation, man. You have, days when you're not on fire. You got days you've been attacked by demons. You got days that's catching hell. You got weeks where you catch hell. It might be a month. All hell is breaking loose, man. You in a spiritual dry South land. Go before the Father, like she went to her father, and the Father gave her the upper springs and the nether springs, right? So that made me think of that as well. I also want to get this quick precept, the classic, in Galatians 5, right? This is Galatians chapter 5 and verse number, we'll start at 16. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. And walking in the Spirit is not just like a nice poetic, it just sounds good. No, you got to live this truth. Walking in the Spirit is applying the word of Yahweh Shema Shai. Just like Enoch walked in the Spirit, he walked with the Most High. Noah walked with the Most High. Moses walked with the Most High. They all walked according to the Spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai. And if you're applying the word to the Most High, you're not going to be fulfilling the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary, the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. It's like oil and water. They don't blend, it don't mix. You can't be reading the scriptures and committing fornication at the same time. You know, you can't be smoking weed and you on a fast at the same time. They're contrary one to the other. And you'll never be able to truly serve the Most High if you're trying to mix and mesh the flesh with the spirit. You can't study drunk. You'll be fooling yourself. I'm going to take 3 shots, then I'm going to read. You won't remember anything, man. The spirit going to be against you. And the Most High going to put another spirit on you to do things that's not convenient. Verse 18, but if they be led of the spirit, ye are not under the law. Yeah, you're not going to receive the penalties of death and judgments of the law because you're following the law. You're following the precepts. You're following the spirit of Yahushua. Right? You repented. You believe that there's no condemnation for sin. You're walking uprightly. Therefore, the judgments of the law are not applicable to you. But if you're violating the spirit of the Most High, then you're going to get the judgments of the law because you're walking now in the flesh instead of the spirit. Now, the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies. And these are heavy spirits right now, man. Right? I'm not going to break down every word, but brothers understand this. Hatred. Variance is strife, right? It's essentially strife and being adverse. Emulations is a spirit of essentially envy, but it's really to the point where, you know, you're not trying to walk in the spirit of Yahweh Shema Yahushua. When you want to emulate somebody, you want to follow everything that they do, right? You're not being sincere. Then you have wrath, you have strife, you have seditions. Sedition is works and speech that causes people to rebel against authority. That's the work of the flesh. And you have heresies, which are just outright blasphemous doctrines. Envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. And all these things are thorns and briars. Because everybody's not, I mean, some people bear fruit that's for the profit of the ministry and for Yahweh Shema Yahushua. And some people bear wicked fruit and thorns and briars. These things hurt people and harm people, right? Verse 22, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. These are beautiful spirits to be in, man. Right? You have joy in the Lord. You believe, you know, the Most High is with you. You're in a spirit of gentleness. You could take affliction, right? You're good to your brother. You walk a mile with him. You go twain with him. You're keeping the commandments. It's a good spirit, man, when you're in the spirit. It's a beautiful feeling. Meekness, that's humility. Temperance, that's discipline. Against such, there is no law. There is no judgment of the law for those who walk in the spirit, right? And they that are Hamashiachs have crucified the flesh with the affections and lust. So if you're in this truth, the old man and all the works of the flesh, that should be dead. If we live in the spirit, let us also walk in the spirit, right? So part of these are the fruits that we have to examine. Are we bearing these fruits? And you have to ask yourself, are you bearing these fruits, these thorns and briars? You know, and if these spirits are on you, you gotta examine yourself, man. You might have to, you know, the Lord said you got to cut them branches off. You got to pluck out your right hand, or it's like you pluck out your right eye, chop off your hand. You know, you got to cut down an old man so you can bring forth fruit to Yahweh Shema Yahushua. Right, but brothers got it.
God, that's right. Let's go to the mighty book real quick. Salak, bear with me. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 6. Let's go to Ecclesiastes, chapter 6, and I start at verse number 18.
You're 6 and
Salaki, 5 and 18. That's what I want. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5 and verse 18. It says, behold, that which I have seen, it is good and comely for one to eat and to drink and to enjoy the good of all his labor, that he taketh under the sun all the days of his life, which God giveth him, for this is his portion. So the Most High gave you that, man. So your work that you do is actually a reward. And I know a lot of brothers, like the Lord said, man, hate not laborers' work in the book of Sirach 7 and 15. Brothers hate working. Brothers are lazy, slothful, right? They feel like, they just want to relax all the time. They don't want to wake up in the morning and go to camp. They want to stay home. They want to relax. They want to watch TV. Don't be just a camp watcher, man. That's not a good spirit to just do and be complacent with just watching camps and feel like you're doing the work or that's the work, man. There's so much more that could be done. Like the brother said, you got businesses people are getting into. You got people that are doing all type of righteousness, man, in the last days. A lot of our foremothers and forefathers, man, they did a lot for the nation. So working is beautiful because it allows the Lord to increase you and give you a reward. It says, behold, that which I have seen, and it is good and comely for one to eat and to drink, right? Not to get drunk and be lazy. The eating and drinking is a portion, right, of you working and enjoy the good of all his labor. You work all day, like the brother said, you get home, you kick them boots off or your shoes off, whatever you do for a living, and you finally relax. You can really enjoy that. You mow the grass, you have peace. When you clean the house, you don't clean it because it's a chore. You clean your house and it brings you peace when you walk into it, man. You may light a candle, light some frankincense and myrrh, right? You're not tripping over stuff. When things are all cluttered, it clutters your mind. Your spirit is cluttered. You're worrying about things you ought not to. Your spirit is not at peace, man. When you're working and getting things in order, it makes you feel good. On your day off, you may go get your car washed. You needed that done. You may clean out your car. It make you feel better, man. The work you do brings you peace. How much more spiritually? You need something that you need to get done. You do it, man. You go the extra mile. It says, for his labor that he taketh under the sun all the days of his life, which God giveth him, for this is his portion. Every man also to whom God hath given riches and wealth, and hath given him power to eat thereof, and to take his portion, and to rejoice in his labor. This is the gift of God. That's the gift of the Heavenly Father, man. So when you receive something or increase in something, it's not you that just got a raise at work. It wasn't you, you just did something so good, so mighty that it's all in your hand. Meaning you going hard, you working is an increase that the Heavenly Father gives you, and that's beautiful, man. You take care of your wife, right? You love her, and the Lord gives you children. You take care, you work extra hard. Brothers are getting houses, brothers are getting apartments, and just increasing in general, man. All that's the gift of the Lord. So working is extremely pivotal, man. Right, let's go to the mighty book. Right, I quoted it, but I could just get it real quick. Sirach chapter 7 and verse number 15. I mean, it's damn near a whole chapter on working, right? In the book of Ecclesiasticus, right? Sirach chapter 38. Where the man is fighting against with the anvil and his flesh and all of the workers. Isaiah the 28th chapter, verse 10 all the way down, with the finches and the cunning, and the Lord is wise and wisdom, that directive man. Right there are thousands of precepts on work. And look at Isaac, man. He was digging wells. You think that was easy? Did he go to Lowe's and have a shovel already made for him and a stick? A lot of these things, these iron tools, our fathers have created, man. The Lord said iron or brass rather is come out of the earth in the book of Job, the 20th chapter. So these things were formed. It took a lot to do those things. It didn't just happen. They have chains already made. So, I mean, even our forefathers in the Feast of Tabernacles, they had to build an actual tent. Yeah, go out there and see how you fare well, man. You take that dull machete and you chop it against that tree 17 times, and now you're sore. You relax. You go in, your woman got some lemonade in there. You never come back out. You watching the game. You cracking the brew. See, if we were to go back in the ancient world to actually do the work our fathers did, look at Nehemiah, man. I'm quoting for sake of time, but they stood out there till the stars appeared at night, working with a sword, with the sword in their hand, with a weapon in their hand, man, and a tool in the other hand. So their work ethic and level was on a whole different level than Jake is now, man. You're doing a bare minimum. So you got to stop thinking that what you're doing is enough and being complacent when there's so much more work to do. You have actual men that build structures and infrastructures, man. Those things take weeks and months to build. It don't just happen. And I'm not an architect, but I'm sure it takes a whole lot to build that foundation. The wood, the installation, right? Diving into all of those screws, are those pieces that stick. Now, I don't know what they're called, to the wood that you have to nail in. It's a whole strategic strategy that you have to do before you build, right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 7. So like you got it.
Real quick, it says laying a foundation to a house typically takes 1 to 4 weeks, including excavation, pouring, and curing. It involves preparing the site, installing forms, pouring concrete, and allowing it to cure, with simple slabs taking 2 days, then full basements 3 to 5 days. Factors that affected: weather conditions, rain, freezing temperatures, high humidity can delay pouring and curing. Site conditions, soil type, draining issues. You need extensive clearing and leveling that can extend the time. Foundation type, slab on grade foundations are fastest. Crawl spaces take longer. Deep excavation. And lastly, curing time. While concrete can take 21 to 30 days to reach full strength, it is often strong enough to start framing after about 7 days.
Damn, that's a whole lot of work.
Right.
And even that concrete got to move in those CDL trucks. I don't know what those trucks are called. Brothers know what I'm talking about, man.
Right.
That spinning, that damn spin, man. They got to spin the concrete.
Cement truck.
Yeah, cement truck. They got to have the spinning thing come out. Then the men got to hurry up. It's a whole big deal getting that concrete out. You got to lay it right. And what if you paid all that money and your foundation not laid right, man? That'll overthrow your whole infrastructure, what you building. You know, so work is really beautiful, man, in season, right? In the spirit. You don't want to overwork yourself either. It's not a good measure. You can read about that in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, man. You know, what much studying is a wearisome to the flesh. You know, now you start forgetting things, you'll vomit up all the honey that you've eaten, right? It's the book of Sirach, chapter 7, in verse number 15. Hate not labor's work, right? That's a statute. That's straight up. You can't get around that. You can't hate things that are laborious, that are not easy to do. You got work that's easy. Certain things are easy to do, man. You may mail something to the post office. Let me run my errands today. Where all you do is put it in the mail envelope and you stick it down the mailbox, man. That's not work. Run an errand, get in your car wash. And then you sit in the car and then you run it through that machine, man. But it's not labor's work. When you actually labor for something, you're getting your arms dirty, you're getting your hands dirty. It takes time, right? The Lord said, hate not labor's work, neither husbandry, which the Most High have ordained. And that's how you eat, man. You eat through labor. So by the work of your hands, like the Lord said, if any man don't work, he don't eat. So if you don't work, you're not going to eat. How much more spiritually? If you're not working, you know, and doing the work in the vineyard, how is the Lord going to feed you? Right? So, I mean, you got to really dive into this thing. So, like, if I can get one more, it just came to my mind. 2nd Esdras chapter 8. And them brothers got it. Get one more. 8 and 40. Right? It says, like as I've spoken, now so shall it come to pass. For as the husbandman soweth much seed upon the ground and planteth many trees. So you can do a whole lot of work, like I said. And yet the thing that is sown in its good season come not up. Because all work, just like it says in Psalms 127 all the way down, if you're not working for the Lord, your work is not going to be granted, sufficient. It's not going to last. Make sure what you're working for is righteous. You got a lot of false prophets that do lives all day long. Brothers know who they are. Sisters know who these false prophets are on the earth, man. right? You got a lot of people that opening up churches, right? They're having long Sunday services. Just because you work don't mean you're going to be rewarded from the Lord. It says, neither doeth all that is planted take root. Even so, is it of them that are sown in the world, they shall not all be saved. I answered then and said, if I found grace, let me speak. Like as the husbandman's seed perish, if it come not up, and receiveth not the rain in due season. So everything that we do is in season. May not be a season, you just coming into the truth to break down the book of Revelation, brother. You got to have common sense and discernment and wisdom on what you should be reading. Your house is out of order. You have no business diving into second Esdras trying to break down the 16th chapter. You know, now you're going into the times. You have a big periodic table of all of the timelines and dates of events and prophecies, and all hell was breaking loose, man, in your living room. It says, or if there come too much rain and corrupt it. So, you know, much studying can make somebody mad, man. Can make somebody think they're wiser than what they are. It puffeth them up. So you want to make sure that the leveling of wisdom and work is all in due season too. Brothers got it.
Excellent points to the spirit. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 11 and verse 17. Right, Sirach, chapter 11 and 17. So it's important that you measure. I said this like the past 3 weeks, right? Measure twice and cut once. Right. So when it comes down to doing your work and laboring and doing what you ought to do, right, you should make sure that everything is sufficient for you to do. Make sure everything is sufficient for you to complete it. Right. Don't just start it and say, well, I didn't know how hard it was going to be. I'll get back to this work later when I'm filled up. Right. There's no hiatus in this truth. Right. There's no taking a break in this truth. Right. The Most High handpicked you out of this world to labor and bring forth abundant fruit. Right. And your fruit, whether it be in your loins, whether it be in your hands, right, or whether it be of I don't know, your speech, it shall always be pleasing and acceptable to the Lord, right? Because your first fruits are always presented unto the Lord, right? So you shouldn't be, to the point that brothers going into, giving too much to one thing and then you're neglecting something else, right? Your house out of order, but you want to give yourself over to know the deepest and darkest breakdowns, right? Or you giving your all to work, right? You're working 70, 80 hours a week, but when it comes to doing the work of the Lord, you don't want to go to camp because you're too beat up and tired, right? You have to have a just balance, and you got to make sure your first fruits are acceptable unto the Most High, right? This is Sirach 11 and 17. The gift of the Lord remaineth with the godly, and his favor bringeth prosperity forever, right? So the gift of the Lord is going to remain with the godly, right? There's nothing in doubt or in question of that, right? We never seen the righteous begging for, or his seed begging for bread, or the white just go without, right? Loosely paraphrasing. There is that waxes rich by his weariness and pension, and this is the portion of his reward. Whereas he saith, I have found rest, and now I will eat continually of my goods, and yet he knoweth not what times shall come upon him, and that he must lead those things to others and die. Right? So you could feel like all this laboring you've been doing and work you've been doing is enough just for you, not realizing all the work that you did, the videos, right, writing stuff down, counseling, it's all stored up for the next man to be stronger and better than he was the day before, and for your candlestick to be blown out, right? Or you to go back into the world, or you to go up into the spirit world, right? You never know when your end is, so never be complacent and content with what you have, right? Continue going. Don't fill up your storehouse and just say it is what it is, right? I'm good for the next 7 years. Right, be steadfast in thy covenant and be conversant therein and wax old in thy works. Right, so you should be waxing old in your work. Right, don't just do a garden 1 year and then you never do it again. Continue doing it. Continue planting that vineyard. Continue doing righteous things and continue and wax old in it. Right? Wax old and being righteous. Right? Why wax old and being wicked, man? Nobody wants to be around them old dudes who try to act 21 when you go to the gas station. You laugh at them. You would much rather be around somebody who's an elder, who has understanding, who's moving in the spirit, and that's something you should desire to be. Right? I'm going to get two more. Right? Marvel not at the works of sinners, but trust in the Lord and abide in thy labor, for it is an easy thing in the sight of the Lord on the sudden to make a poor man rich. Right? You have to trust in the Lord that your labor isn't going in vain. And though you may not be rich monetarily, you could be rich spiritually. Right? You could be rich with compassion. Right? You could be rich with being a helpmate. Right? There's many things that the Lord can increase you in on the sudden. Right? I know brothers who didn't know anything. Then you run into them again, and them brothers is biblical scholars. That's what happens when you wax old in your work. Right? I got one more, and I'm going to pass it to brothers. Ecclesiastes 5:18. Right? Behold, that which I have seen, it is good and comely for one to eat and to drink and to enjoy the good of all his labor that he taketh under the sun all the days of his life, which Yahweh giveth him, for this is his portion. Right? Did a brother bring this out already?
But it's so nice you got to read it twice.
Yeah, read it twice. Yeah, I saw it was up, Salaki. But yeah, that's the portion that the Most High is giving you. Right? We don't got to expound more into it since a brother brought it out. But remember that. Right? Remember that all that you're working for isn't just to be thrown on the ground and stepped upon. It's to rejoice in it. Right? We rejoice in knowing that 5 years ago, we wasn't on the same level and the Most High has increased us. Right? We rejoice in knowing that the old man is long gone and we're not doing the same BS we was doing a long time ago. Right? So rejoice in increasing and doing mighty works. Right? With that, brothers got it.
I got one more right through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemi. I was trying to add to what brothers are going into. It's like I said, the countdown to Pentecost, man, it draws nigh, right? And brothers want to make sure you're bringing that right offering before the Most High. Hebrews 6:4, for it is impossible for those who were once enlightened and have tasted of the heavenly gift and were made partakers of the Holy Ghost and have tasted the good word of the Most High and the powers of the world to come. If they shall fall away and renew them again into repentance, seeing they crucified to themselves the Son of God afresh and put him to an open shame. So it's impossible for those who had the Holy Spirit. You found out about this truth. You were able to discern between righteousness and wickedness. Your spirit resonated with Yahweh Shai. You knew about salvation. You ordered your fringes. You bought your Bible. You had your apocrypha. You were doing the work of the Most High, watching the videos, and you tasted of the good word of God, the breakdowns, the parables, right? The law, the writings, and the powers of the world to come. You understood about the kingdom of heaven. You were able to identify what the chariots are. You knew about everlasting life. If you fall away in these last days, it's equivalent to you crucifying Yahweh Shai, right? You're taking his hand. You nail that one down. You nail that one down. You say, hold your feet still. Stop moving. And then you hold his feet down and you nail his feet down. And then you lift him up. You put the crown of thorns on his head. And then you take that spear, you pick it up off the ground, and you pierce his side. That's what you're doing when you fall back and fall away from the vineyard and from the labor, right? Verse 7, for the earth which drinketh in the rain that cometh oft upon it, and bringeth forth herbs meet for them by whom it is dressed, receiveth blessing from God. You see that? So brothers have to drink in that rain. Now the Most High said, wisdom reigneth down, skill and understanding. Let's Sirach, the first chapter. So the rain that you're drinking is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And you have to bring forth herbs meet, meaning good fruit, the fruits of the spirit. For them by whom it is dressed, you receive a blessing from the Most High. You'll increase and grow, and ultimately you'll get the kingdom if you bring forth righteous fruits into the day of judgment. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. And don't be the brother that's bringing forth thorns and briars. You're a scoffer, right? You cause strife. You're full of envy. You're full of debate, deceit. Everything you do is harmful and controversial or adverse. Just bringing forth thorns and briars. The Most High said you're going to be rejected. You're nigh into cursing, and your end is to be burned, right? Because that's the ultimate lot. We read that the tares are going to get burned. The Most High not going to take a little bit of bad fruit. It's either it's all righteous or it's all wicked, right? But brothers got it. Unless brothers had closing precepts.
God. You had something, Amos? I was going to bring out a closing precept.
Loud.
God. You can go to Revelation chapter 3. It's Revelation chapter 3, and I'm going to start at verse 2. It says, "Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come unto thee as a thief. Thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee." Right. So, like with every lesson, man, the end all be all is repent, keep the commandments, watch, pray, right? Do the work of an evangelist. Do everything you can to make sure you make your calling and election sure, because the Lord is going to pull up on you in a day that you know of not. And if you're not prepared, giving him his fruit that he requireth, he could blow out your candlestick. So most High willing, man, brothers are preparing themselves spiritually, getting their fruits prepared to bring before the Lord. Brothers got it.
Can we go to Matthew 24 and verse 13? Switch it up a little bit. This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 13. It says, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Right? This isn't a sprint. This isn't an 100 or 200. Right? This is a marathon race. So endure. Right? Do things at a pace where you're not going to burn yourself out, but do things at a pace where you're going to challenge yourself. You're going to make sure that you're continuing to outdo what you did the day before, so that you can be saved, and not just you, but your household as well. So the key to this is endurance. Endurance is the key. So endure to the end and fight a good fight.
And all praise to the Most High. I'm going to get Revelation chapter 22. Right? This Revelation chapter 22 and 12. "And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be." And you see the prophecies unfolding. You see the blood moons, the earthquakes all happening in the earth, the seditions, the uprisings of nations, the new world orders being established, financial systems being shifted, weather patterns being shifted, wild beasts changing their places, the kings of the east being brought into the wars. You see that the Most High is closing in the walls, right? And things are getting more and more pressing. And the Lord has a reward, man. There's a reward for all of this, man. There's a reward for all of your labors, your reading, your teaching, your studying, your praying, your repenting, you denouncing sin, coming out of the world, stop celebrating worldly holidays, deleting old wicked things, sisters putting on hair wraps, dresses, men putting on mitres with a staff on your hand, traveling to keep feast days, calling brothers, checking on brothers, meditating the precepts. There's a reward for that. Everybody's going to get a reward. The righteous are going to get a righteous reward, and the wicked are going to get a wicked reward, which is death, fire, and brimstone. And everybody's going to get according as his work shall be. So if you spend 3 hours in the vineyard, yeah, you're going to get a penny, right? But who you are in the kingdom may not be the same as the next brother, man. Right? So if you spend, 8 hours in the vineyard, you're going to bring forth more fruit. A lot of the work or the growth that you see is predicated on how much you labor, right? You can't just watch a brother and expect, now the brother can edify you, but you got to work yourself, man. You got to work out this thing. You got to work out your own salvation. with fear and trembling. See, not to be long-winded, but to tell you in Song of Solomon, the 1st chapter, my own vineyard have I not kept. They made me keepers of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept. You got to keep your own vineyard, right? You can't be in everybody else's vineyard worrying about what they got going on. What do you have going on? And the Most High is going to look at what you have going on, and that's how you're going to be rewarded or destroyed. So with that, I'm going to close up, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach, Kwam Bashai, Brother Naquam,
Shalom, brother Rai.
Shalom, brother Amos.
Kwam Yashab, Shalom.